Coming to grips that a relationship is over is always so difficult for us. Also, healing from those relationships. Welcome back to another episode of Finding Love. Today we are diving into the process of healing from relationships. It's been a big question from our community, and it's time for us to dive in right now.
Baby, you're all that I need. No, I can't be what you mean to me. Make me feel complete. It's OD, you got me, it's OD. Baby, you're all that I need. No, I can't be what you mean to me. Boy, I know you need this.
So we've all heard the saying, hurt people, but y'all don't want to do the work. You want to just get out of this relationship and the band-aid is the next relationship. Or you want to just harp on the woulda, coulda, shouldas of that past relationship so much that you spinning the block. And you gotta do the work.
And one of the first things we have to look at are the people who are in those relationships that they feel like it's over. But for some reason, they want to save that relationship. They want to try one more thing to fix it. And in that scenario, there's only one thing you can do. You have to get up and leave. You have to walk away because that is the only way you're going to provide opportunity to have some type of shock between you and that other person. And sometimes that reset button can provide a wake-up call for that other person to say, you know what? I need to get my act right. I need to get it together. And I need to appreciate her or him. And I'm ready now. Because if you don't allow that to happen, then all this resentment builds up. Things become toxic. Things become chaotic. And it goes to a point of no return.
Yeah. And we don't believe in the D word, right? And we don't think that that should be a course of action for fixing what you think is wrong in a relationship. However, a relationship takes two people. And guess what, guys? It's not what you think they should be doing. You will know if someone is in it or not.
That's right.
You will know if somebody got 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out the door. And if you are both committed to the success of this relationship over time, right? Because, yeah, we set our vows to each other 10 years ago, almost. That was just to God. Now we have to commit and recommit to each other on a regular basis.
That's right.
Every single day, I have to wake up and choose him. So when you're going through a relationship and, you're going through some rocky times, or maybe the lifestyles of the two people have changed, you still at the club, I'm trying to be home reading a book, and it's a disconnect. Instead of saying, you got to get out the club, even though we started in the club, or you got to learn to read books like me, focus on you. Focus on, am I loving on this other person to the best of my abilities and giving my all and trying to be the solution to the problem prior to looking at what they are doing wrong. And once you do that, and then they start to do that, is the only time that you could truly heal from the inside out within a relationship.
And I think that's the perfect example of if that relationship that we're talking about provided space and opportunity for people to appreciate one another, to say, okay, what does she need from me and what does he need from me? Yes. Because what I've been doing is not working and I'm not willing to lose that other person, right? And so what you're talking about is when you come together and that you guys are equally yoked and that we are on the same page, either now or we hit a reset button and now we're ready to move forward. But what happens that when that relationship that you want to save, you can't save, and you provided that space and opportunity, but that other person is not showing you that they are valuing the relationship like you are?
So when talking about walking away, I think that it's so important to think about the amount of healing that you need to do internally to even have the strength and courage to say, I've given all that I can to this relationship and it's time to get out of here.
That's right.
That takes confidence that you are truly loving on yourself above any and everything else. And it's not a failure. A lot of times people think that walking away from a relationship, that they're a failure, or that they're gonna have to deal with everybody's scrutiny of how they treated the other person, or did they do everything that they could. But that's really strength. It is so much strength in saying, I choose me, my mental health, my emotional intelligence, my peace, more than I choose just having a companion.
Yeah.
So walking away, that strength and character alone, it is going to exhibit some level of healing.
And that's such a unique space that you're talking about, because it's confidence and strength, but it's also fear and vulnerability, right? And I think it's such an uncomfortable space for us, which is why over 90% of people do not heal before they get into that next relationship. And if you cannot heal yourself, one is, are you really getting away from that last relationship? Or are you setting yourself up for success for the next relationship?
Right.
Or are you in relationship purgatory and stuck in this vicious cycle where you can't get your worth? You can't get everything that you deserve.
And I think that goes back to the Band-Aid. It is so easy to feel the hole or the space that other person, no matter how toxic they were. You guys could have fought every 7 days. Round the clock, y'all were fighting. But it was those 1 or 2 days in between there that were so good. And you had so much fun, and you were able to double date, and you were able to talk to someone about your favorite show that provides a hole or a gap in your life. That's right. And the easiest way to fill that hole is with another body. And that is the problem right there. You are not trying to do the work to see, why did I even go into that relationship? Why does this person even have access to me? Because half of them exes shouldn't have never even had your phone number. That's right. Why did I continuously choose the same type of person? I've been dating this same person 3 different ways. And what could I have done differently to either shut that relationship down in a dating stage? Because a lot of times it might have been a couple key questions you missed over dinner that would have never even allowed this to go that far. And how do you show up better and more healed for the next person? So that 90% or over 90% of people that are going into that next relationship with the baggage and drama of the last one did not give themselves enough time to heal. And that's not to say every single person is coming with the baggage. You go have some luggage from every other relationship that you've ever been in. But that doesn't mean you have to bring the trauma, the damage, and all the drama from those last relationships. And you can't keep playing victim to the same person that you are always attracting. If you are out there presenting yourself a certain way and attracting the same type of people, but you just saying all men ain't this, all women ain't that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't play victim to who you are consistently attracting.
And that segues into accountability and breaking away from the blame game. Because so often people want to say, oh, but he did this to me. He took this from me. I gave him this, or I gave her so much of me. Or my girls told me, don't do this, so I think that's the reason we broke up. We start blaming either the person we were in a relationship with or everybody else instead of taking accountability, looking inward and saying, okay, I know he or she did this, but let me take a hard look in the mirror and say, okay, I could have been a little more selfless. I was way too defensive when this happened. I was a little too selfish in these moments. We have to take a hard look at ourselves and really dissect how we can learn from that past relationship and become a better version of ourselves, right? And you can't do that if, one, like you said, we keep going into the vicious cycle, choosing the same type of person that doesn't work for us, Or two, if we keep blaming everybody but ourselves for what we deserve and how we get to that next gear or that next phase where we're ready for our person.
Yeah, and it makes me think of like you can't borrow money from me, right? I won't give you nothing I'm afraid to lose. I ain't trying to fall out with you, family members, right? I think it's the same emotional deposit when you're dating. I should not be giving you more than I'm willing to lose.
Yeah.
We haven't committed to each other yet. We haven't become one in marriage yet. We're dating, right? And in that dating relationship, I think so often we not only are we're unhealed from the last relationship, right? But we kick off, we go heavy and hard and fast really early on because we're trying to fill that void. So the pain of that last relationship that you were in for 2 years, you kick off this next one as if you know him for 2 years. Now you've given him more than you're willing to lose. You've given him the same impact of that last relationship. Or you've given everything that you told the last guy, oh, I ain't got that for you. And you're like, dang, he really needed that from me. I'm going to give it to my next one so that I feel like I'm being better. No, you being better for that last relationship. And had you properly healed from that relationship, you wouldn't be starting at 2 year mark with this new one.
Yeah.
Be very careful in what you are actually giving,
Right.
especially early on in the relationships, and even more especially if you have not done the work to heal from the last one.
And that's so good because hurt and unhealed people, they go into these next relationships not even realizing that they took on those traits from that last person. And don't let it be a toxic relationship, because what happens is before you got into that relationships, all of those good things about you that you were sharing, caring, kind, charismatic, dynamic, you never want to go into a situation where that last relationship took that from you. It took a piece from you where now you are mirroring the very toxic traits of the last relationship that you didn't want in the first place.
That's so good.
So now you're not kind. Now you tell everybody that that relationship ain't gonna work. Now you go into every relationship saying that, let me tell you what's not gonna work for me. Versus being who you are. Because when you heal, you'll regain all of that. You can bring all of that back to you as long as you know that there's a healing process that you need to have, and that you can reclaim yourself, and you can reclaim all of the things that were good about you, right?
Yeah. I also think that a lot of times people don't properly heal because they think that all of the mistakes of the last relationship was the other person.
That's right.
So you can't really properly heal if you don't look at what you did wrong.
That's right.
What you did wrong to get there, what you did wrong during, and what you are doing wrong currently afterwards, right? So you so focused on, man, it was him or it was her, she was this, he was that you haven't even seen your part in it. So yeah, okay, they were a cheater, right? Did they ask you to spend more time with them? Did you notice that they were not really checking in like they used to? Were there some toxicity in a relationship early on that kind of told you, he looked at every girl that walked by? She was real, secretive when she was going out with her girls. Like, what did you do in that relationship? Yes, the cheating, boom. Yes, they were the ending factor. But what led up to that?
That's right.
And in order to heal, you have to look at self.
Man.
What did I do? And let me tell you, it is the hardest thing in the world to look yourself in the mirror and say, you're toxic, right? You're crazy, right? And until you do that, you will not be able to do the work. And now that you are in the process of healing, how are you spending your time? Is it alone? Are you filling it with, a bunch of your girlfriends all the time, or a bunch of your fellas all the time? Or are you filling it with positivity?
That's right.
Are you going to therapy Are you going to serve at church so you can get around some people with positive Christian backgrounds? You know, like, what are you filling your time with after that breakup? A lot of times people go out and just start wilding. They back in the club. You know, 2 years ago they was in the club, then they was in a relationship for 2 years, now they back.
Yep.
Now they back posting bikini pictures. Yep. Now they back.
I'm getting over him by getting under him.
Stop it! Stop it! You know, like, focus on what you really need to be fulfilled.
That's right.
What you really are going to be able to contribute to the next relationship. And the biggest and best thing about a breakup is the lessons learned.
It's so easy for us to look at the past relationship in a snapshot and say, oh, that was toxic, or he or she was toxic, instead of really trying to have a full scope and look at the entire relationship and seeing that the life of the relationship. Was it good at first? When did it take a turn? Should we have exited before it hit this toxic level, right? And did I play a part in that toxicity?
Yes.
Because if you have that moment where you're healing, you can really take a moment when you're working out and you're getting back to yourself, and you can just dissect the relationship and say, I'm not just going to put it all on him or her. I'm going to take a second and I'm going to say, you know what? We saw we weren't working and we should have cut it right around here.
Yep.
Or I enabled him by this, or I enabled her by that, or I pulled at that trauma string too hard and snapped it. I should have been a much better partner. I should have been more caring. I should have been more delicate with my words. And guess what? That relationship went way past the toxic level, and that's over, but I'm better now. Yeah. I looked at the totality of the relationship, but most importantly, I looked at myself in the relationship. Yes. And so now I know how to be a more caring, more compassionate, more sharing, and more giving partner. So I'm ready for my next relationship. And now I think that's important for us to talk about how a loss can actually turn into a learned lesson if you actually heal. Yeah. So now we're healed, and now we're ready.
Yes. I mean, what other way will you figure out exactly what you want and exactly what you do not want than going through a relationship? You have broken up with someone that you think is the most toxic, the most cheatiness, you know, the most whatever, right? But you attracted that person.
That's right.
You dated that person and decided to go further in a relationship with that person. Did you miss some key signs along the way? And then, did you think that you were cool with not communicating on a regular basis? But now you see, I'm going to need you to check in, right? All of those things are the positive traits that go into how to let your next partner know how to properly love you.
That's right.
You know, like, some people don't need you to check in all the time. Some people are like, I'm busy, you busy, you know, let's link our schedules and see where we fit in. Some people need you to shoot me a text.
That's right.
I'm going to need you to check in between this meeting and that meeting. And if you don't properly communicate that, one, because you either are bringing on the baggage that the last person didn't need that, so maybe they don't need that, or they're going to think that I'm being too needy.
That's right.
Baggage that you should have healed from.
That's right.
Or two, you haven't really looked at what happened. What actually came out of that relationship? You have to study your bad habits and the bad moments of that relationship to really walk away on top with, all right, I will not deal with X, Y, and Z.
That's right. And I think one of the traits that you pointed out too, that if you were leaving that past relationship that you have to have is confidence. And you have to maintain and try to keep regaining that level of confidence, because now that you are healed and we have learned from that lesson or those lessons, now you know how to set your boundaries. You know what they are. Like you said, I need text messages, you know, in the morning, right? And if you communicate it, then that's fair.
Yeah.
Because you said, this is what I need.
Yeah.
This is what makes me feel comfortable and makes me feel like we are moving forward.
Yep.
Right? So now you set your boundaries. Now you have the confidence in yourself because you have healed from that last relationship and you don't feel like you're carrying this bag of bricks from the last relationship. So you're confident. You set your boundaries. You are strong. And you feel like now that you know how to intentionally date and you know how to communicate what you want and you know how to ask the questions to make sure that the person that you're trying to date is the person that you're trying to build with. And even if it's early on dating, we don't have to waste anybody's time because we already took the time on ourselves on deciding how we're going to move forward and regaining confidence in the dating process of how we're going to search for somebody who is worthy of us.
And I think that you say this often. Your partner should be your addition, not your subtraction, right? And in doing so, and getting that in your brain, ingrained in your brain, I think it's so important to know that happiness comes from within. Your partner is not going to make you happy if you're an unhappy person, right? A part of healing is knowing what makes you happy, knowing how to make sure that you have happiness and some sense of joy within self, right? Your partner, is going to make your household a two income household, right? Could you handle your bills on your own? Maybe that's a part of your healing journey. Your healing journey might be starting with making sure you got your finances together.
That's right.
Your healing journey has so many aspects of it, and it is not just centered around feeling the whole of loneliness. And the moment you switch gears into thinking, oh, I'm just lonely, I just really wish somebody was here, and you focus on, I can't wait to meet my addition.
That's right.
I'm already happy. I'm already financially secure. I'm already confident in everything that I have to offer. Now I'm looking for that person to make life a little easier.
And what I'm hearing right there is a person who is very confident and they are not just settling for comfort.
Nope. That's it. A drop of the clues bomb. What DJ Envy say?
Boom, boom, boom. It's time to toast.
Time to toast. I think that it's important that we cheers to those that are in the process of healing from a breakup. And we also toast to y'all that got one foot out, giving you the encouragement and support and love necessary to go through a super difficult time and making that very strong commitment to self. We love you, we are praying for you, and we are here for you. If you need to heal, do it. You are the most important person to you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We are finally here at season 2 and we could not have done it without any of you.
We're talking all stages of relationships, from dating to courting to marriage to reaching that forever status.
We are bringing all the true stories to the forefront. And guess what? This year we're coming back bigger, better, and stronger. And it's all because of all of you.
So stay tuned for what we're going to do next. We are on all platforms at I Am Finding Love. And be sure to subscribe to our website at IamFindingLove.com.
And do not forget, tune in each and every Friday as you keep asking us questions and we keep delivering the answers.
Baby, you're all that I need. No, I can't be what you mean to me. Make me feel complete. It's OD, you got me, it's OD. Baby, you